This study explored the association between the antepartum glucose tolerance test and the future risk of diabetes among women with gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes is a condition that affects 5 to 10% of pregnant women and can be due to either increased insulin resistance, insufficient insulin production, or both for the duration of pregnancy. Pregnant women are generally screened for gestational diabetes between 24 and 28 weeks of gestation, using a test to see how well their bodies metabolize glucose. This test is referred to as the oral glucose tolerance test, or the OGTT. While gestational diabetes generally resolves spontaneously following the end of pregnancy, women who have had gestational diabetes are at an increased risk of developing diabetes later in life. As such, it's recommended that women with former gestational diabetes undergo regular screening for diabetes. It's unknown why some women develop diabetes and others don't, and the adherence to diabetes screening is low. Some studies suggest that the risk of diabetes in the future among women who have had gestational diabetes is linked to the severity of glucose intolerance as measured using the diagnostic oral glucose tolerance test. The purpose of this study was to summarize the evidence on the association between the antepartum OGTT results and the risk of future diabetes among women with former gestational diabetes, and to conduct a meta-analysis pooling the results. We designed and conducted a search across 4 major clinical and biomedical databases for studies where they had used the results from the antepartum OGTT to predict the odds of gestational diabetes later among women with gestational diabetes. All citations were assessed by 2 independent reviewers, and data on study characteristics, participants, and outcome measures were extracted by 1 reviewer and confirmed by a 2nd reviewer. The risk of bias was assessed using the Newcastle-Ottawa scale. Our initial search identified just over 6,000 unique citations. Following careful screening of titles, abstracts, and full texts, 17 articles were included in the final review. The screening process is displayed using a Prisma diagram here seen in Figure 1. As seen in Table 1, the quality of outcome was good to fair, comparability mostly fair, and the study selection was considered good according to the Newcastle-Ottawa scale. In total, there were 5,017 women with GDM across the 17 studies included in the review, and this included cohorts from North America, Australia, Asia, Africa, and Europe. While there was great heterogeneity in diagnostic criteria, we saw an overall conversion rate from gestational diabetes to diabetes of 26.8% over an average follow-up of 7.2 years. Table 2 is displaying the mean difference in OGTT results between women with former gestational diabetes who did and did not later develop diabetes. As you can see, while the gratitude of overall mean differences are larger for the 2 and 3 hour OGTT results, we do also see a significant difference in the mean difference in fasting blood glucose. Data on our main outcome, which was the odds of developing diabetes later in life if any individual value on the antepartum OGTT was elevated, were available for fasting blood glucose and 2 hour OGTT results only. As displayed in Figure 2, the pooled odds of developing diabetes later in life were fourfold increased when looking at unadjusted data. However, when assessing data that had been adjusted for common confounding factors such as maternal body mass index, family history of diabetes, and maternal age, the statistical significance was lost. Our study had a few limitations, with the largest one being the extent of heterogeneity in multiple variables, including time to follow-up, diagnostic criteria, and outcome measures reported. Also, due to the low number of studies per study design reporting on our main outcome of interest, we were not able to conduct a formal analysis of publication bias. So in conclusion, both the antepartum fasting and 2 hour OGTT values among women with gestational diabetes appear to be associated with increased odds of developing diabetes later in life, but other contributing factors such as the BMI and age of the woman and family history of diabetes play a large role. Due to the high degree of heterogeneity across studies and diagnostic criteria used for both gestational diabetes and diabetes, more research is needed before clinical recommendations can be made in regards to the use of the antepartum OGTT levels and the prediction of future diabetes among women with gestational diabetes. Thank you.